So it is a lovely day right now, and I have actually put some fairy lights up in the garden. I don't know if you can see that, and it looks really good at night. But yeah, it's been really cloudy for the last few weeks basically, and it's just been raining the whole time. So it's really nice to get in some more sun. But yes, I've actually I'm fantasizing now how amazing it would be, all these tests that I want to do. I would love to have a series of tests where one of them, I guess, social services. I want to know how many of people who are involved in who've had their kids taken away from social services, or people who are in situations like my sister, who, my sister cannot do it. There's no question about it. I just need to see her with a kid for 5 minutes to realise that she cannot do that. I wouldn't even make her look after my fish, let alone a child. But my sister's partner, her new partner, he is very, very good with kids. And I think any assessment, any over-assessment of weeks and weeks and weeks of training, I'm pretty sure that this is just social services milking the case for everything they can, trying to say, because Sophie's a bad parent and this guy has only just gotten a kid with her, they're accusing him of being a bad parent too, and that's just not how it is. And so I really, really want to talk with a lot of people who have had experiences with social services, and I want to know how many people have they refused. How many aunties are very capable of looking after kids, and yet social services have refused because they know they can make £100,000 a year off kids like this. I don't know how the taxpayer can fund things like this. The amount of money that Leo is spending on, or everything that he's getting, none of the tax money would have had to be paid if the child would have just come to live with me. And I was trying for a kid for 2 years. So to reject an auntie who was trying for a kid for 2 years to have a child, to reject that auntie for no other reason other than like things that, she didn't really want the child or something like that. Okay, I don't have a good relationship with my sister, and maybe my sister I wouldn't want her to be visiting every week, and right now she does get to visit. She gets to see the child twice a week. But these calls are very, very expensive, and all the solicitors and just huge amounts of money, and they're dragging it out, and they never give any time for when the child's going to come back to her. I think that they're completely milking it for as much as they can to try and make as much money off this kid as possible, and it makes me wonder how many kids have gone through this. Okay, I'm God, I'm Christ. Maybe I was rejected because of this reason, in which case I don't want to get too involved, but I want to know how many kids are in foster care or having daily monitorization for months and months and months when it's completely unnecessary, and how many people are just using the claim child abuse to basically abuse the parents. How many social workers are doing that? And I want to have some sort of interviews to test it. I want to test Christians and YouTubers about why they believe what they believe, and if I was to say I'm God, I'm Christ, how would they respond to the belief that I am and the Bible is not my word, and my beliefs that nothing Jesus said was very accurate or good or truthful. How would they respond to this? So this is another test I want to conduct, and I also want to I want to know what's going on in the prison service. If someone wants to, if a woman breaks up with a partner, and then the partner goes to that woman, kidnaps that woman, holds her hostage in a stupid attempt to try and win her back, and forces her to not leave for 24 hours, and say nothing bad happens, but that's all his crime is. And then afterwards she goes to the police, and he ends up getting a jail cell for getting locked up for years and years based on false imprisonment for 24 hours. If you think that is fair and that is just, then that is completely not, because the prison service is locking someone up for days and days and days. If it's for years, then that's 4, 5, 600 years, 600 days. If it's 2 years and stuff, there's 364 days in a year, and if you're locking someone up for 3 years based on the fact that he locked one person up in a house for 24 hours in a hope to win her back. If it's a case like that, then that's completely unjust and unfair, because what the criminal system has done to this person is 500-600 times worse than what that person did to someone else. So I really want to look into these cases to find out how just the justice system is, how unfair it is, and to lock a 15-year-old up who's killed her parents, that's it's bothering me, you know, that child, every Christmas, every birthday for the rest of her life, she's not going to get any presents, she's not going to get any gifts. She has screwed and fucked over her whole life by doing this. And then to think that prosecutors would have absolutely no sympathy on the damage that she has caused to her own life, and think that it's fine to lock her in prison for 30 years. And some of these prison cells apparently don't even have windows. Is that true? I think prisons need to have windows. To lock someone up without windows, I think should only be for a maximum of 3 days. All jails should have light coming in, natural light coming into it. I guess maybe there is natural light, but it's only natural light that's from like a hallway that's where there's light. I don't know, but to think that you're locking people up in rooms where they don't even have light or a window, I feel like the prison service is so cruel. And to kill a stranger or to kill someone else's mum, you know, this is a far worse a crime than killing your own crime. And I just don't think people see it like that. It's like they're cold, they're so cold that they can't feel any sympathy for someone who's done something like kill their own parents. You know, it's like their ability to see any kind of empathy over a murderer like that is cruel. And to think that they are going to be, their whole life is going to be destroyed and put in prison, locked up in a prison cell for 30 years based on something they did when they were 15. And that case is bothering me. You know, I think 10 years would be fine if there's any sign or proof that this woman, that the mother was abusing her or calling her horrible things and telling her she was useless. If there's also evidence that the father was perhaps beating the mother and this might have encouraged her to react in this kind of way, you know, then I feel like the sentence should even be less than 10 years. It should be 8 years or you know, I don't know what that other case was, but you know, the one that where a mother was poisoning her child, and then the child, I think might have been the case of the child getting revenge by killing the mother. I don't think I don't think a person like that should even go to prison. If someone has been abusing you every day of your life and causing you suffering, and you decide to take the law into your own hands, I think you first need to ask, was that actually deserving? Because if that woman did some horrible things to the child throughout her whole life, then I feel like that woman, the mother, did actually deserve. Like, I don't even know if that was the story, because they didn't really talk about the story. They said a couple of sentences and applied that the watcher knows what the story is, and I don't know what the story is. But if that is the story, someone is being abused and poisoned their whole life so that they're bedbound and they're reliant on their mother, and then they choose to find a boyfriend and kill that mother because of this abuse that mother has been faced. You know, I feel like you need to look at the abuse that goes on, that the mother has caused, and if the death penalty was actually justified, then I don't think, maybe a year she would get. That's it. I don't think that you should punish victims for getting for taking the law in their own hands. If, however, it's proved that this person wasn't a victim, you know, if you're saying that your child was kidnapped and R-worded by someone, and you know it's this person, and you go and kill that person, and later it turns out that actually there's no proof that person did actually do this, and even if it was, that's unjustified, because that's one day. You're going to take someone's life over something the horrible that they did for one day. I mean, I don't feel like that's justice. But if someone has been abusing you, I'm also that Gabrielle's partner or something, he killed someone, but he did this he was experiencing something throughout his whole life, and he took justice into his own hands. And I feel like I want to add a law into it that says if you kill someone, or if you really severely hurt someone that has been hurting you for a very, very long time, you know, I feel like there should be some way of analysing what they did and working out, you know, what if this is your first-hand account, you know, if you can prove that this was actually abuse that you've faced and you've taken justice into your own hands, you know, I think these people should be let off. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people that would hate me for taking people like this out of prison, and I don't care, because I feel like they just have no ability to understand how horrible it is to be abused all your life. And if you have been abused all your life, you know, you are going to have this hatred towards someone. And so I feel like there is a lot of people in the prison system that have done something because of something that aggravated them and caused them to want this, and the justice system is just completely oblivious to their own suffering. You know, like, I've gone through 11 years of suffering, and I feel like if I told people that singers and celebrities are doing things about me behind my back, I just feel like no one would care. I feel like I can't go to the police because no one would believe me, and therefore I want to take justice into my own hands because of no one caring. And if other people are feeling the same way, you know, you've been abused all your life, and you want to take justice in your hand into your hands because you don't feel anyone would care. You know, I feel like I feel empathetic towards these people, because I know that this is a position that I'm in. I can't report any crime because I don't have a perpetrator to report. I could say singers and celebrities are doing things about me behind my back, but I can't prove that they know about me. I can't 100% prove it. And I guess I can show the songs, but I feel like I'm just going to scare, you know, part of my ability to inspire things is part of the fact that I'm not human and that I'm a different species. And if I was able to convince people that I was inspiring all these things, you know, part of my proof would be to also prove that I'm not human, and that I'm from a different world and supernatural, and I think this would scare them, and this would make them not want to believe. GPs would not want to believe that this is the truth, because it changes their whole perspective of reality. So I am stuck until people choose to help me. But I know that there are a lot of people who are in prison for way longer than what they cause other people to suffer, and so I would love to talk to people about this. And I think it'd be better to do it before I'm known as God, because I feel like people would respond differently if they knew that I was God. So I would like to have a better idea of what's going on in the justice system. I'd like to have a better idea of what's going on in the foster care system, and I would like to set up a couple more tests. I would love to do a test where I do religious studies. So I have a list of questions and test people's ability to believe in reincarnation, and test people on the Bible, test people's ability on you know, how likely they think the world was made in 6 days, how many people in America. I'd love to do most of the tests in America. Sorry, my as much as I want to insult them, I also feel like my heart is there, and I feel like this is the place that I want to do most of my tests. So I want to go to America, have lots of these religious questions where I ask people about the possibility of different beliefs, and I would love to do something with kids as well, and give them the tests, and maybe also say that there's a pool for them to play with. So if there's a waiting period, you know. Give mothers in very poor places a lot of money if we can borrow their kids for 24 hours, and then do some stuff, do all these tests and questions, and then maybe set up a fake sacrifice ritual where you can go into like a room and they drink Ribena, but you don't tell them that it's Ribena, you just say it's a drink and it's a silver cup, and maybe there could be a big pentagram. You know, it's do something that would give, that is not wrong in any way, no harm will be caused on the children, no psychological harm either, but just enough to give them a story to tell to their parents. And the real test won't be actually on the kids, but the real test would be on how many of these parents would want to come forward and start accusing me of being a satanic worshipper, or, you know, I don't think, I can't really go for the sexual abuse angle because I'm asexual, and I think it's obvious that I don't, you know, I wouldn't want to have sex with kids. I like masculinity, and kids are anything but that, so that's not my type. But I would love to set up some sort of test with kids so that they can give the story to their parents, and maybe even subtly make sure that they give each other numbers to each other, so that if they wanted to all get together and gang up on me and accuse me of doing some sort of satanic ritual or something. I don't know, but I like the idea of getting AI pictures to prove that I have attended Diddy parties. I don't know. I don't want to be the victim in it. I want to be seen as the perpetrator, because I'm on the side of people are liars, and I don't trust the public, and I want to test them. And another test I could do is find a bunch of prostitutes and invite them into a house, and then give them a laced drink. Tell them it's a laced drink, but actually it's not a laced drink. Just tell them it's a laced drink, and then I don't know, maybe have a party or do something that just have drinks and just normal, no laced drinks, but maybe tell them that a drink or two is laced, and then maybe even get them to stay the night. Although I have to be careful, because if they are prostitutes, they might steal things. So there would need to be something to make sure that it is. But do some sort of satanic ritual, and maybe even find conspiracy theorists who believe in satanic rituals, and then get them to invite them to this party, and do some questionable things where you can have like a coffin and people dancing around a coffin, or just take the piss. Reenact whatever people would say a satanic ritual would be. Reenact it, but deliberately choose people that are going to later talk about all these satanic rituals. I love the idea of this build up, and I can feel when I watch these videos about what's going to happen next with the Diddy parties, what's going to come to light, what's going to be exposed. I can feel it being there being a huge amount of excitement almost as to who's got involved and what the stories are, and I don't know if it's true or not. So I know that if I was involved, then I would have a first-hand account of what was going on, and therefore I'd love to see to trap people in a test where I know what happened, they know what happened, but see how many liars come forward. And I wouldn't want to be seen as the victim. I would want to be seen as the victim later on. So I have this build up where I do these tests, and then I promote myself as being Christ, and then go for a whole year where I look like I'm having parties and living the high life. But yeah, I don't know how I would get involved, because I don't really like singers or celebrities, because they've all been ignoring me and refusing to help me. So that's going to be a bit of a stumper in it. But I don't know. There's a lot of talk about these in the next 30 days. People will know who else is going to be involved in the Diddy lawsuits and stuff. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I know that if the similar thing happened to me, then I would know what's true or not. And if I am actually Christ, people aren't going to believe it at first, but if I am actually Christ, eventually people will know that I'm not the sort of person who lies about things. But I don't mind setting up a deception. That's completely different. Finding people who have been accused, finding people who lie about saying they've been in satanic rituals. There's a lot of tests that I want to do. A lot of people say that they've been to hell, and that they've seen demons, and they've seen Satanists, or they've gone to satanic rituals. Find who these people are, and then invite them to my party, and then see if they start changing the narrative of all these stories that they made up 10-20 years ago, and see if they want to start including me in some of the narratives. If there was pictures of me going to lots of Diddy parties, and me being with Diddy, looking very young, and him looking young, and other artists looking very young, if people are going to start claiming that they've gone to these freak-offs, if they also start saying that they think that I was in the room there, well, that's evidence that they're a liar. And I love the idea of catching liars, and therefore setting people up to catch them out on lies. I really, this is something that I definitely want to do. I want to expose all liars, and it needs to be done properly, but it can't be done if everyone's ignoring me. But yeah. The fake sacrifice would be when everyone else believes everyone else and doesn't believe me, and then they want to punish me by turning me into a victim, when really I was a victim all along, but they just didn't know the truth and they didn't believe me. I want to stick to the truth, but at the same time I also want to blank it out because it's so awful.